Hi guys, how are you?
Hi, Rachel. Good.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi. So to start, I love space. I've loved it my whole life. I'm obsessed with it. But I do think what makes this movie or what makes this story in particular so fascinating is it is one that like even those of us who do love space and learning about it didn't really get to know. And so for you guys, what was it about this particular story and the importance of these men that you guys really wanted to highlight in the space race?
When we were introduced to the story through, first of all, the lens of Arnaldo Tamayo,
Mhm.
and then we saw this parallel with Guy Bluford. We just saw that there was this interesting moment happening in our history, but that we had to go back in time to understand the enormity of what it meant for Guy Bluford to fly in 1983.
Mhm.
And so it's all about the hidden histories, the untold stories. And for us as filmmakers, it is always exciting, this act of discovery. And in this case, to be able to speak to the actual participants and allow them to tell their story and to preserve this legacy, through our film, so that others can become aware and be it hopefully as inspired as Diego and I are by their journeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rachel, I mean, what you mentioned, I think we both love the fact that, everyone loves space and we all know something about space. But how much richer is your reality when you discover all these things you didn't know? We all think we know the story of space exploration. You discover these wonderful, incredible people, these hidden figures. And so it enriches your understanding of, your reality. And that's really, I think, fascinating. It makes you think what other aspects of reality, of what we know today as a reality, are like this, where minorities and other people had incredible, contributions that we don't know about.
Yeah, and I do think it's so cool to like learn more about just space exploration from the first time we stepped foot on the moon and beyond. And like one of the things that really hit was when it was like when they talked about how the Soviets were the first to like send a man of color to space and it wasn't the Americans. And I think learning that stuff is so important, especially for those who do love space exploration. Was there something when you guys were setting up and getting ready to film that you learned either from the astronauts you got to talk to or just like in your research that you were shocked to have discovered and not like been taught it in school and like when we were learning about all this?
I think one of the surprising moments was when we interviewed Victor Glover,
Mhm.
and he shared for with us the story of the call and how all of the previous and current African American astronauts were able to speak with him when he was on the ISS, at a time when he was feeling challenged by events happening on the Earth,
Mhm.
and to hear about it and then to start to visualize what is it like to be, on the ISS, serving your country, concerned with events here and feeling so isolated, but then having this community come together on a call. I mean, that was I think a great moment and story for us to come across, and we are so grateful that Victor felt comfortable sharing that with us.
I loved to learn about how NASA and astronauts use diversity in their role, in their jobs to advance humanity. I mean, basically, NASA puts together diverse teams so that people can come up with different solutions. Because when you have a
Mhm.
different experience, you might come up with creative ways to solve a problem in a different way than someone else. And so when humans are doing the most difficult things they can do, which is explore space, where it's tremendously deadly, it's you got to work as a team. Everything needs to work together. It's so inspiring to see them do that all together without divisions. And then I think that's sort of something we all think like that's the way things should work down here on Earth. And so that's sort of the incredible lesson you learn also from them. It's together we're more.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite part, I think it's the trailer, but it is when Nichelle Nichols, like the clip of Nichelle Nichols talking about like making like using diversity in NASA. It to me, I was like, it makes why I love space so much is things like Star Trek, where it is hoping for this better future. And with this movie in particular, I do love the use of her and how it kind of plays in the story as a whole. For you guys, though, was there something you really loved that you guys got to like talk to someone about or research that you couldn't include for one reason or another?
Well, I think the story is so broad. There's so many stories within it that we certainly left a lot of stuff on the editing room. And
Mhm.
for me personally, there is a lot more to be told about the story of Arnaldo Tamayo, the first person of color, but also the first Latino to fly in space. And that's really how sort of the first thread of this story, how we started pulling this thread, it started with him. And so we're hoping that we can also continue to tell his story in a fuller way.
Yeah. Uh, with this and this specific story and like talking about the untold, like I'll say heroes, the untold heroes of like the space program and people who like don't get the same recognition that other astronauts do. It kind of highlights that there's always these stories in every kind of walk of life. Is there something that you guys have been inspired through this process of wanting to look into and highlight next?
I think Diego touched upon the
Mhm.
story of Arnaldo Tamayo, because he, in his own way, just blazed the trail from a very unexpected small island to accomplish something really great.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like when I say I'm obsessed with space, that's like I literally have an astronaut on my arm. Like it's a level of love that like things like this are so fascinating to me just because we're not ever told this in school. Like we're told about Lance Armstrong at not Lance, right? Him and Neil get in my head. So it is Neil because
Yeah.
we met doing great. Neil Armstrong and like we like for women we hear about Sally Ride, but it's like that's essentially kind of our limit on it. With making this movie and highlighting these men. Because what do you hope audiences take away from getting to see the space race and seeing all of these people who were also part of the space program?
Well, I hope people understand that our astronauts are all individuals. They're not monolithic. But what is really incredible about this group of astronauts is how they have formed a community and the tremendous importance of legacy, making certain that, yes, you can be the first, but who is going to follow? And that's something that all of them spoke about was looking out for those who are coming next and helping them to achieve the same goals.
Well, when you look at the film, you discover a group of the most incredible people you've ever met. They're doing the most difficult things that humans can do, and they're making all us better. And yet, when you talk to them, they're the most humble. It's the opposite, I think, of what you see nowadays is the me, me, me. It's like, I did this. You talk to them and they just want to say, look, I'm here thanks to the people that came before me. And you have to know that history. And all I want to do is make sure that, people like you, younger kids, can follow in my footsteps. And so I think that's really the message that resonates with me. It's their how humble they are and how it's all about making all of us better. And no, they're doing the job. They're making all of us better. They're creating, a future for humanity. And I think that's so beautiful and so moving that hopefully it'll inspire everyone.
Yeah, I same. Thank you so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait for people to get to see the space race.
Thank you,
Thank you
Rachel.
so much, Rachel.
Thank you. Have a great one.